Greetings and salutations, everybody. It's Spencer Kyte, your friendly neighborhood Spencer man, here on Friday, October 21st, day before UFC 280 from Etihad Arena in Abu Dhabi. And that means it's time for So You Want to Make a Bet, the weekly betting show that we're putting together here on SevereMMA, trying to keep track of this stuff, putting it out there. And I got to tell you, before we get into this weekend, we got to look back at last weekend. And maybe it was first show with SevereMMA. Good luck, good fortune. Maybe I just made some smart plays. 12 units out, 15.78 units in, 4.28 units of profit, 31.50% return on investment. It's a lovely day. It was a lot of, to me, smart plays. Played a little bit more chalk money, played a little bit more favorites last week than I tend to. I often look for, I'm someone that always looks for plus money. I like that solid return. It hasn't worked out fully this year. And maybe my lesson from last week should have been to play more, favorite odds. I haven't learned that lesson for this week. We'll get to that shortly. But it worked out last week. I should have actually went harder on the Alexa Grasso by decision line. I liked that result. Obviously, we cashed that. And the two overs, over 3.5 rounds, over 4.5 rounds. That was a nice cash. We cashed on the hedge of Alonzo Menafield, winning in the first round over Misha Cirkunov. We caught that fight going under 1.5 rounds as well. The 2 units on Tatsuro Taira, that came through. So overall, a pretty good night. For the year, it actually, it really improved my year overall. This is the thing about where I'm at right now, very early in this journey. So year to date, 52.75 units out, 46.97 units in, down 5.78 units for the year, for just under negative 11% return on investment. Again, we're just getting started. These are the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows. And hopefully going into this event, or coming out of this event, I should say, we have another good week. We hit some tickets. We bring some money home. We bring some profits home. And we get that year-to-date number looking even better. I mean, listen, obviously I'd love to sit here and be like, by the end of this, maybe at the end of this event, we're positive units. We're making money. I just want to keep getting better. I continue to reach out and expand sort of my knowledge, expand who I'm listening to, get more insights from some different people. And so just trying to do some stuff here, trying to have some fun. Now, as always, as I said last week, when I kicked off this show here on the SevereMMA YouTube page, I will say it again, and I will say it every single week. All the bets that I'm laying out here, all the units, all the numbers that I'm throwing out, it's just make believe right now. It's just pretend. It's monopoly money. I'm not going out and making these wagers. I don't necessarily advocate for anybody going out and making all of these wagers. And above and beyond that, I want everyone at all times to gamble responsibly. Do not put in what you cannot afford to lose, because as the old saying goes, stick around long enough, the house always wins. This is a tough racket to make money at. This is a tough, especially this sport where there's so many variables at play. And if this is something that is a problem for yourself or a problem for someone in your family, please seek help, please seek treatment. I will include resources both in the YouTube description. That's the word I'm looking for. The description of this video, as well, when we put together Saturday's setup, I'll keep it there as well, so that you get all of that information, that if you need to reach out, we will make sure that's readily available to you, because this is supposed to be fun. This is supposed to be a good time. It's supposed to be a little sort of additional way maybe to get some interest and some action on these fights. So please, please, please gamble responsibly, wager responsibly, have fun with this. And let's see if we can't do well with this monopoly money that we're playing with here heading into UFC 280. This fight card is loaded. This fight card is a massive event. And so I thought, why not just go a little bigger? So this is by far going to be the most units I've ever laid out. 19.5 units overall. It is the biggest collection of bets that I've laid out this year in doing this, in producing this sort of content. And it's one of those cards where there's, to me, a lot of little opportunities. There's some stuff that I don't normally do, including a parlay in here, like just a straight wins parlay. I'm normally the guy that's like, hey, straight bets, just singles. Try to just cash the one ticket rather than trying to get three. But there's one that I like in here that I think could return some positive money. So we'll get that in there. We'll get right to it. We start with the main event, Charles Oliveira and Islam Makhachev. I think Islam Makhachev is going to win this fight. I think there is a strong likelihood that he gets a finish. But I also understand and respect the skills and talents of Charles Oliveira. So on Bet365, which is where I get all of my odds, where I get all of these sort of odds and make all of my selections based off of, there is a option for either fighter finishing that sort of wager. And so to me, in a fight like this, where I like both guys, I can see paths for both guys, that was an avenue I was going to go down. So here we go. 1.5 units for either fighter to finish in the first round at plus 210. 1 unit for either fighter to finish in the second round at plus 300. Plus 333. 1 unit in the third round at plus 600. Half a unit in the fourth at plus 1,000. And half a unit in the fifth at plus 1,600. So, obviously, first round feels like Charles Oliveira. First and second, to me, feel like Charles Oliveira bets. So rather than get in and try to chase just Charles Oliveira winning, cover both sides, right? If that fight ends right out the gate or in the second round, if the fight ends in a finish, we're cashing a ticket. One, that's first and foremost. And like, if you look at the way I've accumulated these, you look at the way I've sort of built these, it's a total of 4.5 units. And so the only way that I lose money on this bet outside of if there's no finish, we lose a bunch. If there is a finish, the only way that it doesn't create even a little bit of profit is if it's in the second round. And so for me, my thinking, the way I look at this fight is, if Charles Oliveira is winning, I think he does it in the first round. And if Islam Makhachev is winning, if he's getting a finish, I think it's coming later into the fight. I think it's more of a third, fourth, fifth round kind of thing. And so I like those odds. I like the big numbers. Maybe I'm just drawn in by the big numbers. Maybe I'm swayed by the big numbers to get myself looking at it and trying to put myself in a position where no matter what happens, we're cashing a ticket. My luck, we'll get a decision, or we'll get that second round finish, and we'll lose just a little bit. But I like that play. I like that way of looking at this fight. It takes the who wins out of it and just makes it somebody gets a stoppage, where ideally cashing for good returns. Move to the co-main event. TJ Dillashaw challenging Aljamain Sterling for the bantamweight title, looking to become a 3-time bantamweight champion. I think Dillashaw gets it done. So I've got 1 unit on Dillashaw to win at plus 140, returns 2.4 units. Half a unit for him to win by decision at plus 300, and half a unit for him to win by finish at plus 400. I think this is a competitive fight. I think it's a close fight, but I lean Dillashaw because of a few different things. The overall experience is 1. The ability to dictate the terms of engagement is 2. And 3, it's the conditioning. We've seen Aljo get really tired in his last couple of fights as we get into the later rounds. And TJ is a guy that, even if you say he was slowing down in the late stages of that fight with with Corey Sandhagen last summer. Well, that's off 2.5 years off. So yes, he's had another year off and another surgery at that. But I like the chances of TJ Dillashaw being the fresher fighter into the 4th and 5th round of this fight. If it gets there, I think that would be, to me, I think it goes the distance. I've played that half unit on the finish in case TJ finds something, in case he lands something early. We've seen him land knockout blows, not just Cody Garbrandt, but he's finished some other guys in the past as well. And so at that number, at those numbers for Dillashaw, who has proven he can win this title on multiple occasions, just felt like somewhere I wanted to get in for a guy that I think is going to win. Regardless of the odds, I came into this thinking TJ Dillashaw wins this fight. I like the matchup for him. And so to get a bunch of plus money just makes sense. Middle fight on the main card, Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley. I think this is Petr Yan all day. I think it is pretty one-sided. And so we've got 2 units on Yan to win by decision at plus 105. 1 unit on him to finish at plus 400. And then a quarter unit on to finish in round 1, round 2, and round 3 at plus 750, plus 800, and plus 900 respectively. I throw those ones in there just on that off chance, right? We've already got sort of the method of victory covered. And so no matter what happens, if Petr Yan wins, we go to the window, we cash a ticket, we bring home profit. If he gets that finish and we get that plus 400, adding in that larger number for the round. And honestly, I really like the fact that we're getting bigger numbers later, because to me, if he's going to win it, if he's going to finish, it's going to be in round 2 or round 3. My guy, Harry Powell, dropped his one-man booth. He profiled this fight on the SevereMMA Patreon page. You should go check it out, and you should absolutely subscribe to it. Fully worth your while. He talked at length about how Petr Yan likes to use the early stages of the first round, if not the entirety of the first round, to make his reads, to get his range, to figure things out, to start setting those traps and learning what areas he can exploit later in the fight. Also talked about how Sean O'Malley lately hasn't been an aggressive striker, hasn't actually been out there throwing volume, pressing the action. He's been more looking to feint. He's been more looking to land those individual shots and sort of take a little bit of time himself. And so if the idea is Petr Yan is going to build into this fight and is the superior fighter, a finish in the second or third, if we're going to get a finish at plus 800 or plus 900, feels real tasty to me. Standout lightweight battle, Beneil Dariush and Mateusz Gamrot. I like Gamrot to win this fight. He is the favorite, close to a minus 200 favorite. Didn't want to play that number because Dariush is super talented. And this, to me, it's not quite a toss-up fight. It's not quite a coin flip. But I like trying to chase some of this plus money. And so half a unit on Gamrot by decision at plus 140 and half a unit on him to finish at plus 250. I think we've seen Dariush in positions where we've seen him finished in the past. We've also seen him in the fights with Scott Holtzman and Drakkar Klose kind of get into these wars, these bangers, these back and forth fights. And if he tries to do that against a guy like Gamrot, I just think he gets caught. I just think he gets beaten. We saw Gamrot drop and finish Scott Holtzman with a lovely 1-2. He has all the tools are there. If this is going to be your first or maybe like second exposure to Mateusz Gamrot, buckle up. This dude is legit as they come. He was a 2-weight world champion in KSW. Yes, he lost his debut by split decision, but he's been lights out since. Even if you want to argue that he didn't deserve the decision against Arman Tsarukyan, or that fight was super close, and it was a hell of a fight back in June. He still went 25 minutes athletically, scramble for scramble, shot for shot with Tsarukyan in June. And so I just think he is the superior talent in this fight. So find a way to get some plus money on a guy that I think is going to win 6 out of 10 times, 7 out of 10 times, and is close to a minus 200 favorite. We're going to jump down now into the prelims. Volkan Oezdemir versus Nikita Krylov in the light heavyweight division. I like Oezdemir to win this fight and was really surprised that he's the dog. So 1 unit on Oezdemir just to win at plus 140. Half a unit to finish at plus 260. Half a unit by decision at plus 500. So I'm quite happy, first and foremost, that he's the underdog. And I think he's the dog because I think there's a lot more, I guess, energy, a lot more interest, a lot more weight being put into Nikita Krylov's finish over Alexander Gustafsson in London in July on the same fight card where Oezdemir sort of just waded his way through a tricky fight against Paul Craig. And so you get one guy coming in off a very quick, very decisive stoppage win over a former title challenger and a guy with a big name versus a guy coming in off a tepid decision win over, a limited but very talented fighter in Paul Craig. And so you get that plus money on Oezdemir as the underdog. But to me, careers stacked up beside each other, Oezdemir has fought the better competition. He's beaten better competition throughout his career. Yes, there are some losses in there, but it's to very good fighters. All fighters, I believe, that are better than Nikita Krylov. I don't think this is one of those instances. Like, Oezdemir isn't a guy that feels chinny to me. He doesn't feel like somebody that's going to just get lamped by Krylov, who's going to come out throwing quickly, as he often does. I think he's going to be able to wrestle a little bit. I think he's going to be able to clinch a lot. And so not only getting plus money just for him to win, which I think he does, but then big plus money for a finish and even bigger plus money if it does go to the decision. Couldn't stay away. Love this one. I've got all the time in the world for no time. Let's see what happens on Saturday. A little earlier in the card, Zubaira Tukhugov and Lucas Almeida in a featherweight battle. Put 1 unit on Tukhugov by decision at plus 175. I think he wins this fight pretty handily. He is a sizable favorite, even though I talked about him earlier in this week as sort of a Jekyll and Hyde fighter that sometimes you get a really great performance like we had against Ricardo Ramos last time out, last year, actually, on my birthday in Abu Dhabi. But he's not a finisher. He just hasn't been a finisher in his UFC career. It's not what he looks to do. He'll look to grapple a lot. He'll look to box at times. He'll look to blend the two together and just craft overall dominant performances. I do think Lucas Almeida is a little bit of a live dog here if you want to take a shot on somebody, if you want to throw a dart, because if Tukhugov comes out, not really interested, not really focused, then it could turn into a barn burner. It could turn into a situation where Almeida finds a win like he did against Michael Trezano last time out. But overall, on the whole, this profiles to me as a fight Tukhugov wins rather handily, especially if the reports we've heard in this week from Javier Mendez that he had a torn groin in that last fight or a pulled groin muscle in that last fight are legit, and he's fully healthy this time around. So I like the fact of getting plus 175 for this to go to decision, which is how he generally wins his fights in the UFC. So we'll see if we can't bring that one home as well. Second fight of the day, Muhammad Mokaev against Malcolm Gordon. I think the world of Muhammad Mokaev. As my guy Harry Powell said on the SevereMMA preview show that we taped and is live now here on the YouTube channel, please go check that out. If Amir Albazi and Sumardarji are going to beat Malcolm Gordon in the first round, then oh my God, is Muhammad Mokaev pretty likely to beat Malcolm Gordon in the first round. And as such, I've got 2 units for Mokaev to finish in the first round at plus 137, and 1 unit on him to win by sub in the first round at plus 250. Now, here's my logic. Mokaev is minus 1,200 the last time I looked. He is absolutely far and away the biggest favorite on this card. I think he steamrolls. Like, I don't think he's a guy. I know I advocated on Wednesday for him to come out and have that. I would like to see him come out and have an Ian Gary kind of performance where he takes his time. He uses those 15 minutes. He tries some stuff. He does some things. He does the fighting, as Harry and I like to say, and then maybe pushes for a finish. But that just doesn't seem to be Mo's MO. That doesn't seem to be in his DNA. He wants to go out there and make statements and put on shows and show very quickly that he is world-class and ready to be moving up the ladder at flyweight. And so I think he goes out on Saturday and tries to get Malcolm Gordon out of here as quickly as possible. I like the finish, obviously, plus 137. We get both sides of it. I play the other side with the sub as well because I think that's the more likely path. Mokaev likes to wrestle. Malcolm Gordon is a grappler himself. And so I think there's a stronger likelihood that Mo catches a guillotine coming in or grabs one after hurting Malcolm Gordon very early in this fight. And I mean, if this one hits, if we get a first round sub, we got 3 units out, we bring in over 8 units. It's a great way to start the day. First fight of the night, just a little play here on an underdog that I'm just curious about. So half a unit on Lina Lansberg to beat Carol Hossa. That win would produce at plus 250. So half a unit out, it would be 1.75 units in. Hossa's probably going to win. That's the most likely outcome. I'm just not 100% convinced. I think Lina Lansberg is a tough, durable veteran. I know she's on the wrong side of 40, but so am I. I'm not sure that Carol Hossa is as good as some people think. You go back, you look at the wins. It's Betch Correia. It's Jocelyn Edwards. It's Vanessa Mello. It's Lara Procopio. Those ladies don't have many wins in the UFC as of late. And Carol Hossa didn't look, phenomenally dominant in any of those fights. She looked fine. She looked good, but they weren't blowout victories. And coming off a loss to Sarah McMahon, where she got out-grappled, she got out-muscled for much of that fight, I'm just curious to see if Lina Lansberg can't just turn this into a smush you up into the fence, hit you with some elbows, maybe drag you to the canvas for a minute, grind them out kind of win, where Host is a little bit maybe shell-shocked or even a little bit too aggressive out of the gates trying to get one back after losing her first UFC appearance. Lansberg lost her last fight against Penny Kianzad, but it was her first fight back in a year and a half after giving birth to her daughter. And so with a little bit more time to shake off the rust, to get back into the rhythm in a, to me, relatively even kind of matchup, at plus 250, we'll just take a little shot and see what happens. I mentioned off the top that I went outside of what I normally do and put together a little parlay, a little three fight parlay here of fighters that I think are most likely to win. They're all fighters that I've spoken about already today. And so it's 1 unit on a 3 fight parlay of Muhammad Mokaev, Zubaira Tukhugov, and Petr Yan. You get plus money at plus 140. And so to me, it's 3 guys that I think are going to win. Very, very simply put, right? Mokaev is the biggest favorite on the day. So you're getting him. Tukhugov, I think, as I said, should beat Lucas Almeida and does beat Lucas Almeida probably 8 times out of 10. All things being equal, everybody coming in good health and, focused, ready to go. And then Petr Yan, who I think beats Sean O'Malley in the swing fight of the main card. So to get plus money on that when you're including Mokaev, who is, minus 1,200, as he said, just feels like a nice little way to maybe make 1.4 units profit and just see how it plays out over the course of the event, right? Gives us something from the very early stages of the event into the late stages of the event, and then into those championship fights where we've got some other action on the go. Before we get out of here, as always, if you watched last week, I explained that every fight card I will do the Punch Drunk Predictions parlays. I'm adding one this week. So I made a mistake. I'm coming here to tell you that I've made a mistake this whole time of just doing the main card and then a full card parlay. Because last week I went 6-0 on the prelims and got nothing for it. Like, dumb. There were a couple dogs in there. It would have paid great. It would have helped me out even more. And so I'm trying to remedy that, at least just from a putting it together standpoint. So as always, it's a quarter unit. We do the main card. That 5-fight parlay comes together at plus 1123. The prelims, which is 8 fights, is plus 13,473. And the full card, the whole slate, this is just a stupid number, is plus 165,931. So just to give you an understanding of why we put this, why I put this quarter unit out there every week, on the off chance that tomorrow is the day that I run the table, that quarter unit with my picks, with the fighters I like, who I explained in the Punch Drunk Predictions, also here on the Severe YouTube page, would return 414.05 units. That's not just like week made, year made. That's like we're playing with house money for the next probably 2 years for a quarter unit. On a maybe could happen. I mean, even the prelims, right? If we run the table on the prelims, it's 33.88 units. So nearly 34 units for a quarter unit. Last week, it wouldn't have been that much because there weren't as many prelims. And I think I only had one underdog, maybe 2 in there. And I've got a couple mixed in throughout here on Saturday, including Lina Lansberg, who I mentioned. But you got to roll those dice. You got to just make sure that you put it out there. And if this turns into 0.75 units that I just toss away every week, I'm okay with it, in the hopes that A, I do well throughout the rest of this slate, and B, if we do catch, it's paying off 4, 5, 6 different events where we just crumpled that ticket up and tossed it in the garbage. That's it for the bets for this week. I'm super pumped. Like, we're getting close to like go time. We're getting close to start time. I'm starting to get that like jittery. It's not quite what it would be when I was on the road covering events. The Friday nights before that got real like, I need to go to bed. I need to go have a good meal and then go to bed because I'm going to wake up early and I'm going to go through my routine, my fight day routine. But it's getting close. I'm going to get myself organized. I'm going to get myself set up. I am on a recap duty for the UFC tomorrow. Also going to be a part of the live stream here on this YouTube page with the rest of the SevereMMA crew, and hopefully some special guests. Harry and I will be back on Sunday with the next day takeaways, and then we'll be back right into the swing of things, going into Calvin Kattar and Arnold Allen, including a new series that I'm going to debut called A Conversation With. I sat down with Calvin Kattar's head coach, Tyson Chartier. So that'll be out on Monday as well. Get pumped, guys. Get pumped, folks. It's close. 280 at Etihad Arena, Abu Dhabi. Early start times. I believe it's 7 o'clock here on the West Coast, 10 o'clock on the East Coast. Crazy times for Matt and Craig Allen in Atlantic Canada. Shouts to everybody that is watching this. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in. Good luck with your wagers. As I said off the top, please gamble responsibly. Check out the links if you do need some help. Take care of yourselves. Take care of one another. Know you're loved. We appreciate you. We will see you on Saturday for UFC 280. Take care.